dramatically. And I want you to know that we are concerned, and this lecture series, health series that we'll bring to you will help to address some of the pre-existing conditions that will increase your chances of getting this COVID-19. We have some wonderful subjects coming up. This evening we'll be talking about disarming diabetes, and this series will be held every Sunday evening from 5 to 6 Eastern Standard Time. Every Sunday evening, 5 to 6 Eastern Standard Time. And we'll be going from the 19th of this month, to the 23rd of August. At this time, our first presenter will be Dr. Sharon Robles, and the health is written all over her, if you know her. Wow, she graduated from Oakwood University and also Howard University College of Medicine in Washington. As a Christian, she's a health ministry director in her church and a part of the Northeastern Conference of Seventh-day Adventist Health Ministries team. She has worked for 25 years and practiced medicine and endocrinology in a large clinic in Manhattan. So just before we welcome Dr. Robles, we have a short little video that will show you of the Victory Wellness Center. Thank you for coming on. I know that you will be blessed and you will enjoy this and you will share this with others. So our technical staff will bring on the video right now.
significantly decreases the risk of complications. So you may be wondering, well, what can be done to prevent or reverse type 2 diabetes? I just want to remind you that if you have questions, you can feel free to put those in the chat box, and I promise to get to them at the end of the presentation. So here we have a statement from the government and one of their initiatives, the Healthy People Initiative. And it says, lifestyle change has been proven effective in preventing or delaying the onset of type 2 diabetes in high-risk individuals. And then I want to share this quote from Ellen G. White. For those of you who don't know who she is, she was a prolific Christian writer living in the 1800s into the early 1900s. She wrote extensively about salvation and relationships and a lot about health. And I believe her writings to be inspired because of the things she wrote about. And for example, at the time she was living, she wrote about health conditions and ways to treat those conditions that medical science at the time didn't know anything about. Some of the things she spoke about more than 100 years ago are only now being discussed in the medical community. Listen to this statement that she wrote. Disease is an effort of nature to free the system from conditions that result from a violation of the laws of health. Let me read that part again. Disease is an effort of nature to free the system from conditions that result from a violation of the laws of health. She goes on to say that in the case of sickness, 4 things should be done. The cause should be ascertained. Unhealthful conditions should be changed. Wrong habits should be corrected, and nature should be assisted. And this comes from her book, Ministry of Healing, on page 127. On that same page, she goes on to tell us what the true remedies are. Pure air, sunlight, abstemiousness or temperance, rest, exercise, proper diet, the use of water, and trust in divine power. So we're going to talk about some of these true remedies and how they can be beneficial in terms of treating and preventing diabetes. So it's important to note that your blood sugar is going to be impacted by what you eat, how much you eat, and when you eat. And the Centers for Disease Control comments that most Americans do not have a healthy diet. So what kind of diet do we have? Well, it's called the Standard American Diet, and we sometimes refer to it as SAD, S-A-D, for the Standard American Diet. It is high in processed foods. It is low in fiber, high in fat, salt, and sugar. And it's been very strongly linked to diabetes, heart disease, cancer, obesity, and many other chronic conditions. And these little guys right here want you to know that they may look like a happy meal, but in fact, they make your body very sad. So which diet is the best diet for someone with diabetes or for someone who's trying to prevent diabetes? Listen to this statement. Consistent evidence indicates that in general, a dietary pattern that is higher in plant-based foods, such as vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds, and lower in animal-based foods is more health promoting and is associated with lesser environmental impact than is the current average US diet. That statement actually comes, believe it or not, from the USDA, the United States Department of Agriculture, and it's from the Dietary Guidelines Advisory Committee. And so what they are saying is, in effect, a diet that is high in fiber and low in fat is the diet that promotes health. Isn't that the diet that we all want? Don't we all want to be healthy? So fiber, why is fiber so important in terms of diabetes? Well, fiber is actually the indigestible part of a plant. And it actually contains no nutritional value at all, but it is very important for the regulation of blood sugar. It slows down the emptying of food from the stomach, which slows down how quickly the blood sugar rises after you eat. And it keeps you full for longer. Fiber is only found in plant foods, only foods that grow out of the ground. So there's no fiber in meat or chicken or cheese or eggs or milk, only from plant foods. And I should say whole plant foods will you find fiber. And I should explain what I mean by a whole plant food. A whole plant food is the way the food appears in nature. So for example, an apple appears in nature, has lots of fiber. When you juice that apple, you get rid of the fiber, and what you're left with is the liquid that's full of lots of sugar, and then the normal vitamins and minerals that are part of the fruit. But we realize that the fiber is very important and encourage you to have a diet that's full of whole plant foods. When it comes to fat, we want to make sure that we're focusing on healthy fats, like those that are found in nuts and seeds, avocados, and olives. These form an important part of a healthy diet. Animal fat interferes with the proper action of insulin. It's interesting to note that when we look into the Bible, we see that the diet that God first gave us in the very beginning was, in fact, a high fiber, low fat diet. The perfect diet, I would say. He says in Genesis 1:29, "See, I have given you every herb that yields seed, which is on the face of all the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed. To you it shall be for food." And in Genesis 3:18 says, "And you shall eat the herb of the field," and that would be vegetables. When it comes to fat, God says, "This shall be a perpetual statute throughout your generations in all your dwellings. You shall eat neither fat nor blood." And that's found in the book of Leviticus, chapter 3, verse 17. All right, so we have identified the best diet as being one that is high in fiber and low in fat. And of course, we want to make sure that we have lots of whole foods as part of that diet. Let's take a look at how exercise impacts blood sugar. The American Diabetes Association on their website, diabetes.org, says, "The effect physical activity has on your blood sugar will vary depending on how long you are active and many other factors. But physical activity can lower your blood sugar up to 24 hours or more after your workout by making your body more sensitive to insulin." Now, we've already talked about the fact that insulin resistance is a huge problem in causing type 2 diabetes. And here we're being told that physical activity helps to make the body more sensitive to insulin. It sounds to me like exercise is the perfect prescription for diabetes. In the book Health Power, we read, "Active physical exercise has an insulin-like reaction in that it burns up the excess fuel more rapidly." So we know that exercise makes the body more sensitive to insulin or decreases insulin resistance, but it also contributes to attaining and maintaining a normal weight, which is also important because we talked about how excess weight contributes to insulin resistance. But in addition to that, you get more perks. It lowers blood pressure, aids in the sense of well-being, and helps with stress management. If I could figure out how to bottle exercise, I could be a very wealthy woman. Instead of that, though, I prefer you actually go out and do exercise. Much better for you. And look at this great news. Losing just 5% of body weight can have positive effects on blood sugar, even when the individual is still overweight. So even before you get all the benefits of exercise, you can start to see the blood sugar going down. But it's important to know that even the best exercise program in the world will not overcome a poor diet. Here's another quote from Ellen White. This is from her book, Counsels on Health. It says, "When the weather will permit, all who can possibly do so ought to walk in the open air every day, summer and winter." And then she says, "Walking, in all cases where it is possible, is the best remedy for diseased bodies, because in this exercise, all the organs of the body are brought into use." So walking is very good exercise, but really you need to choose an exercise that you enjoy, because an exercise that you enjoy is one that you are likely to continue doing. It is important that before you begin an exercise program, you speak with your medical provider so that together you can decide about your exercise goals and choose the right exercise for you. Water. So water helps to keep the blood diluted and helps to lower the blood sugar. In addition to that, adequate water intake helps to prevent overeating. Sometimes when we are feeling thirsty, the body perceives that as hunger. And so it's very important to stay hydrated because it will keep you from overeating and eating when you actually just need water. In addition, dehydration or not having enough water in the system will slow down your metabolism, and that can lead to weight gain. So you can see here that water is important in helping to keep the blood sugar normal as well. Sunlight. There have been some studies that show that vitamin D may be, or low vitamin D, vitamin D deficiency, can be a risk factor for the development of diabetes. And so it's important to make sure that you get outside in the sunshine. We're not asking you to be out in the sun for hours and get burned. That's not advisable. But if you have fair skin, 20 to 30 minutes a day is wonderful for getting vitamin D into your system. If you're darker complected like I am, then being out for 45 minutes to an hour in the sun is very good for you. What about rest? Sleep specifically. It may surprise you to know that short sleep duration and poor sleep quality increase the risk of developing diabetes and gaining weight. As a matter of fact, we know that when people go to sleep late at night and when they don't get good quality sleep, they can have higher blood pressure and higher blood sugar the following morning. So getting sleep is very important. Trust in divine power. So when we are not trusting in God, we tend to be stressed. And one thing stress can do is make the blood sugar go up. In addition to that, when we are stressed, we are a lot less likely to take good care of our bodies. It's necessary for us to know when we are feeling overwhelmed, when we can't handle situations on our own, and seek professional help. But we know that trusting in God is important to our overall health. The Bible tells us that God wants us to be healthy. Look at this verse in 3 John 2. It says, "Beloved, I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in health, just as your soul prospers." How does that make you feel? Do you feel excited to know that God actually wants you to be healthy? That is his wish for you. That is prayer for you. That's what it does for me. And look at this verse in Exodus 15:26. It says, if you diligently heed the voice of the Lord your God and do what is right in his sight, give ear to his commandments and keep all his statutes, I will put none of these diseases on you which I have brought on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord who heals. What a wonderful promise there is in this verse. We're basically being told that if we just follow those laws of health that I mentioned in the beginning, if we pay attention to them and do our best to follow as God is directing us, then we can be saved from some of these diseases. It might interest you to know that the study of Egyptian mummies has shown that the Egyptians had many of the diseases that we are struggling with today: diabetes, heart disease, cancer, arthritis. And so we're getting this promise from God today, many, many years later, thousands of years later, and we're being told that following God's laws can help us overcome those diseases. God is promising us in this verse that he is the one who heals. So I hear someone asking, but what about medication? You didn't mention that at all. So here's the issue with medication. Medication absolutely has its place, but medication does not cure diabetes. If there's anybody listening to me now who has diabetes and you're using pills or insulin to treat the disease, you know that if you miss a day or two, sometimes just a single dose of any of your medicines, the blood sugar will go sky high. And that is because the medicine is only keeping things under control, but it's not actually curing anything. And it's actually not addressing the cause of the diabetes. In a way, the high blood sugar is just a symptom. It's the body's way of saying something is not right. There's something that you're not doing that you should be doing, or something that you are doing that you should not be doing. And so it is important that you realize the limitations of medications. Look at this quote also from Ellen G. White. She says, drugs never cure disease. They only change the form and the location. Nature alone is the effectual restorer. And how much better could she perform her task if left to herself? So in other words, the body is actually designed to heal itself. We all experience that every time we get a little cut, whether it's from a piece of paper or a knife in the kitchen, whatever, we know that the body can heal itself. It's up to us to give the body what it needs in order to be able to do that. Now, I want you to say this with me, please. I can't hear you, but I'm going to assume you're doing it. Don't stop your medications. Please don't stop your medications. It is very important that you continue taking your medications, even if you are making lifestyle changes. What you want to do is talk with your medical provider about the changes that you're making, and then allow him or her to help you make adjustments with your medicines as necessary. But please don't take it upon yourself to get rid of the medications. As I said, they have their place. Medications often work very quickly and sometimes can, in fact, be life-saving. So please don't take it upon yourself to make that change. Look at this quote here. Nature's process of healing and upbuilding is gradual, and to the impatient, it seems slow. The surrender of hurtful indulgences requires sacrifice. It's going to take time. If you start walking for exercise, it's going to take time before you start to see the pounds come off. If you change the way you're eating, it may take time to see the blood sugar come down to normal. But in the end, it will be found that nature, untrammeled, uninterrupted, does her work wisely and well. Those who persevere in obedience to her laws will reap the reward in health of body and health of mind. And again, isn't that just what we're looking for? Don't we all want to have healthy bodies? Don't we all want to have healthy minds? this is the key. We must work with nature in order to heal our bodies. And so, just in summary, I'm sorry. Let me go back. Okay. In summary, we know that type 2 diabetes is a lifestyle disease. And by that we mean it's poor lifestyle that leads to type 2 diabetes. But it responds very well to a high fiber, low fat diet, regular exercise, which can lower the blood sugar and help in maintaining a normal weight, adequate water intake, nightly restorative sleep, and stress management. Again, please don't stop your medications. As you make changes, you stay in contact with your medical provider who will give you guidance on how to make adjustments. And then trust in God, who is the great physician. You've seen the promise. He has said he is the one who heals. Let us all work along with him to heal our bodies as we need. I hope the information that I have shared with you today will be a blessing to you and that maybe you can share with someone else. At this time, I'm going to take some questions from you. Okay. All right. So here's a question from Nadine. Oh, I'm sorry, just lost that. If one is already a diabetic, what is a normal or controlled blood sugar level? Thank you for that question, Nadine. So in general, a normal blood sugar would be a sugar would be normal for anybody without diabetes. So that would be fasting sugars up to 100 in the morning and random sugars up to 140 the rest of the day. But it's really important to talk with your own medical provider and find out what his or her goals are for you. There are other things that come into play in helping us determine what the goal should be for any particular individual. So what I'm saying here now is really just a generalization, and it's just important that you and your medical provider talk about what your numbers should be.
Dr. Robel? Dr. Robel?
Yes.
What is the address for me to see it on Facebook? I need to share the information because I was out, so I didn't hear it. Can I share it from Facebook?
Yes, you can. You can share it from Facebook.
But what is the website? What is what do I do to
Please
do that?
write that. Please write that in the chat, and the technical folks will put it in the chat.
No, I'm going on the radio program now, so I don't have time. The time as I finish, it might be gone. So I have to. That's why I'm asking it now.
Okay, so I don't have that information to give you directly, but if, as Pastor Daly said, if you can type it into the chat, they can tell you exactly how to do that. All right, Harrietta is asking a question. She says, just to clarify, you stated that fiber slows stomach emptying. Doesn't fiber also increase the time food passes through the intestines? What is the purpose of that? So, when fiber gets into the stomach, it swells. And that is one of the ways that fiber helps to keep us from overeating, for example. In terms of slowing down the emptying, as a result of that, the food moves slower into the intestines, and the sugar that comes from the food that we eat goes into the bloodstream more slowly, and the body is able to handle it easier. It moves through the intestines, not at I don't know if we would say a fast rate, a faster rate than foods without fiber, definitely. But as it's going through the small intestines and even into the colon, it's also kind of cleaning. Fiber kind of acts like a broom, moving things out of the intestines, helps to treat constipation and ensure proper bowel movements. So that is the purpose. Okay, let's see. All right. All right, here's a question from Angela Dennis. If we meet someone who has diabetes, how do we approach helping this person? So that's a great question. And I think probably one of the most important things, if you want to help someone with anything, you first want to make sure the person actually wants your help. Sometimes we're very anxious to help people and they're not actually looking for help for us, or at least not yet. The second thing is to get a sense of where that person is and their understanding of their disease and what their goals are. Something else that we tend to do, well-meaning though it may be, we push our goals onto other people. And so probably the first thing to do is to try to find out what that person would like. What's that person's concern? Are they worried about ending up on dialysis? Or are they just concerned that the sugar is over 200? They just want to see a sugar under 200, whatever it is. And then you can start to talk to them about some of the things that I mentioned here this evening, and encourage them to choose one thing. There's a habit that we have as human beings where we try to change everything at once, and very often that's just a setup for failure. I often say, if it was really so easy to do all of those things, we would have been doing them already. So encourage the person to choose one thing, and then to identify how many times a week they can do that one thing. How confident do they feel in doing that a certain number of times? Or what would they like to add to the diet? Things like that. It can be a very simple change at first. What we discover is that when people start making change and get in the habit, it gets a little easier to make the next change and the change after that. Patience is key. Thank you, Angela Dennis, for that question. All right, there's a question about being pre-diabetic and having fatty liver. It says, will the information shared work for both aiding with diabetes and fatty liver? Yes, fatty liver is very often seen in people who are pre-diabetic and diabetic. It's also seen in individuals who are overweight or obese. And it can actually be seen in people who don't really look overweight at all. There's a segment of people who actually look quite thin, but when we look at their internal organs and around their internal organs, there's a lot of fat. The high fiber, low fat diet, and the other things I mentioned, the exercise, the water, the rest at night, all of those things can actually help with getting rid of the fat in the liver and helping the liver to be more healthy. Okay. All right. I'm just trying to see if there are any other questions. All right, Felicia Royer wants to know, what guidance would I give concerning herbal remedies? Thank you for your question, Felicia. I would not personally give you guidance on that because that is not my field of specialty. But the good news is, in a couple of weeks, I'm not sure of the date, we can check that for you, we're actually going to be having someone talking specifically about that. Herbal remedies can really be very helpful in helping keeping the sugar controlled. But I want to remind everyone that In addition, well, I shouldn't say in addition, the foundation of health, the foundation are those 8 laws of health that we talk about. So sunlight and temperance, air and rest, trust in God, nutrition, open air, lots of water. Those things are the foundation. And once you're doing those things, then using the herbal remedies along with that can really help with getting your diabetes and other conditions, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, your weight, even arthritis can improve with this approach. All right. Pauline Smith says, seems as this will also work for high cholesterol. Thank you, Pauline. In fact, it will. One of the things I love about this approach is that it is the approach that works for every condition that you can think of. Now, when I'm in the office and I'm giving someone a prescription for their diabetes, it's only for the blood sugar. If they have high blood pressure, I'm giving them something for that. If they have cholesterol, I'm giving them medicine for that. Then something else for asthma and something for arthritis. There's no one pill that I can give anyone that is going to take care of all of their conditions. But because most of the conditions that we deal with in the medical community are actually lifestyle diseases, when we start taking care of the lifestyle errors that we're making, all of the conditions get better. Claudia asked, as a diabetic for 40 years, can someone still reverse it? Thank you very much, Claudia. Yes, indeed. Again, the body has been designed by God to heal. And so when we do our part, making sure that we're following the laws the best that we can, and we're trusting in God to do his part for us. In fact, even after 40 years, you can see someone reverse diabetes. I've known of people who have been taking insulin for 20 and 30 years who make a change in their lifestyle and get off of insulin, something that many people think cannot happen. Angela Dennis is asking again, if someone has been on dialysis for, say, 5 years, waiting on kidney transplant, could this person reverse that condition? And yes, she has diabetes. So once someone gets to the point of needing dialysis, it means that the kidneys are no longer able to do the work, the housekeeping, the cleaning, the waste removal, the fluid management that the kidneys normally do. From a medical standpoint, there's nothing else that can be done. When we are dealing with the great physician, though, nothing is impossible. So as human beings, we can't do it. But I would encourage that person to make lifestyle change and trust in God to do what he sees to be best for that person. Okay, there's a hand from Cheryl Mike. Cheryl?
Yes. Dr. Robles, thank you very much. I'm multitasking, that's why I couldn't write anything.
That's fine.
I know that they sometimes tell you that, because you're diabetic and you're supposed to not eat much sugar, including fruits, but if you're going to eat fruits, only eat melons and maybe berries. Do you recommend that people who are diabetic eat those fruits in the beginning?
So, yes. So it's important for even people with diabetes to eat fruits because there are nutrients in the fruits that the body needs. Now, you do have to be careful of the amount and the type. When someone has very poorly controlled diabetes, eating fruits, especially in the beginning, may make the sugar rise a lot. So you have to be careful of the portion size and what you're eating. The less sweet fruits are the non-tropical fruits. So the berries are very good. The melons can also be very good, especially if the sugar is very high. the tropical fruits like the bananas and the mangoes and the citrus, those tend to be sweeter fruits and tend to make the sugar go higher. And so it's just important that the person not overdo the amount of fruit that they're eating and make sure they're just having a portion size. And at least in the beginning, if the sugar is really quite high, stick with the non-tropical fruits like the berries and the melons.
But that would include, you can eat a lot of grapefruits. Could you eat the orange and mandarins, which are sweet, or just grapefruits? So
you have to be careful with the citrus. Because those tend to be sweeter as well. Sometimes the fruits that we get are so large that you're, eating one whole fruit is really more like 2 or 3 servings. So the grapefruit you can get away with sometimes because it is somewhat less sweet than, let's say, the mandarin oranges and the other oranges that are available to us, tangerines, etc. But what's important is to be careful of the portion size and then pay attention to what it does to your blood sugar. I have known people who can eat 2 or 3 servings of fruit at one time and the sugar remains controlled. So there's got to be a little individuality there as well. But just try to steer clear of the tropical fruits because they tend to be so sweet.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right. I think there was another hand up. Am I right? Okay. If not, let me just, yes, there are 2 hands raised.
Is someone talking?
I know that you had a question.
Yes.
Hello?
Hello, a question on the triglycerides. I only got a portion of what you said on that with the high cholesterol.
Okay. So triglycerides are typically measured when the cholesterol is measured. When your medical provider does your blood test and does the lipid profile, triglycerides are usually part of that. And triglycerides are kind of like the fat in the blood. Right. As a matter of fact, one of the ways that insulin stores excess calories is as triglycerides. High triglycerides, though, can be a problem. They can increase your risk for heart disease. And when they're very high, they can increase the risk for pancreatitis or inflammation of the pancreas.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, was there another hand that was raised? I think I saw that it says 2.
Miss Glenda Foster Morgan has had her hand up for a while.
Okay, Miss Glenda Foster Morgan. Okay, is she unmuted?
She left, so I suppose we can move on to the next person, Diane Parker.
Okay, hello.
Hi. The question is, when we're trying to work on lowering our lowering our bad cholesterol, and raising the good cholesterol. Mm-hmm. How should we go about focusing? Should we work on doing the things that would lower the bad cholesterol, or eat the things that would raise the good?
So when it comes to working with the cholesterol, if you're making lifestyle change, you get 2 for the price of 1. The good cholesterol is challenging to raise. Part of that is because your good cholesterol is partially hereditary. It's what mom and dad gave you in terms of the level. But if you are a smoker and you stop smoking, the good cholesterol will go up. If someone has not been exercising, but they start to exercise, that can raise the good cholesterol. But in general, the the lifestyle changes we've been talking about this afternoon will both help to raise the good cholesterol and lower the bad cholesterol.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay, I see a question here from Pastor Roburn. It says, when someone is pre-diabetic, is banana and oranges recommended for him? I like bananas a lot. I'm with you. I like bananas a lot myself. So I understand. So again, we want to be careful of the amount and not overdo. If someone does not have diabetes, the sweet fruits are fine. The tropical fruits like the bananas and the oranges, those are fine. But, just like when we talk about temperance and being moderate in things that are good, we don't want to overdo it. And so we want to make sure that we're not overeating of fruits. And we want to make sure that we're getting a variety of fruits. So there are fruits of every single imaginable color. And so we should not be always just eating the same one. Same things goes for vegetables. We want to get a variety of them because different fruits and vegetables supply different nutrients to the body. And in order for the body to be truly healthy, we want to make sure that we're giving it the best. So it's okay to have those. We just don't want to overdo. All right. There's a question about does grapefruit counteract with metformin? Metformin is not one of the medications that is impacted by grapefruit. There are many that are, some of the blood pressure medications, for example. In general, though, it's kind of a good idea not to have grapefruit or grapefruit juice along with your medications. That's a safe approach to take, but not every single medicine is affected by grapefruit juice or grapefruits. Sasha Khan asked, can a person reverse diabetes with juicing vegetables? Juicing can be very beneficial, indeed. And yes, you can reverse diabetes. I'm not sure if you mean actual juicing. With juicing, you're actually throwing out the fiber, right? So all that pulp that's left in the juicer, that's the fiber. So you're not getting the benefit of that. Now, if you're using something like these other devices, the NutriBullet, or you're just blending up the vegetables, then yes, you're still getting all of that benefit. So yes, that can be helpful, but that should go along with the other things as well. The exercising and, the low-fat diet. All of those things would be important in helping to actually reverse the diabetes. Okay. Sandra Sam is asking, what is considered pre-diabetes? So pre-diabetes is based on blood test results. And for a fasting blood sugar of sugar in the morning after an 8-hour fast, the sugar should be less than 100. If the sugar is between 100 and 125, that is considered pre-diabetes. Or a sugar at any time of the day that's between 140 and 199 is considered pre-diabetes. Thank you for your question, Sandra. Okay, so I think that may be the end of the questions. And I just want to share this quote with you before we finish. The things of nature are God's blessings, provided to give health to the body, mind, and soul. They are given to the well to keep them well, and to the sick to make them well. And so God has completely covered us. Whether we are sick or whether we are well, He has provided what we need. I really want to thank you for joining us this afternoon, and just want to have a word of prayer before we close off. Father in heaven, we just want to thank you so much for your many blessings. And I'm just asking in a special way that you be with each and every person who had an opportunity to be a part of this presentation this afternoon. You know what their needs and desires are, and I pray that you would give them wisdom and understanding and courage to make the changes that are necessary for them. Help them to share with those around them. And then, dear God, we pray that you would bless them with the good health you have promised if we are just obedient. We love you and we thank you so much. In your son's name I pray. Amen.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Robles, and thank everyone for coming on. We want to remind you that this is just the first presentation in the Victory Wellness series. Next week again, we want you to come back. Also, if you look in the screen there is a contact information for you. Is up as yet. The contact information. This also can be seen on YouTube and I think also on Facebook. If you want to get in touch with us, the number is 845 444-9120. 845-444-9120. And the email is Victory Wellness Center @gmail.com. It's right there in the screen. Victory Wellness Center, it's right there. And you could also go to the website, which is victorywellnesscenter.com. So thank you very much, and share this with others, and let's stay healthy. God bless you real good. Have a great evening.
Thank you much.
Experience and the presentation was the best.
Thank you, tech team. You were great.
I want to thank you, Errol. Errol is the head of our tech team.
Great.
Thank you guys, and you've been working hard to make this a reality. God bless you all.
Thank you. Pastor,
Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Dr. Robles. I'm from Jamaica. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, my dear. God bless you.
Great.
Thanks, Miss Dunn.
Information.
Okay, nice seeing you.
Okay. Bye-bye.